What's up, guys? 2 banks of 5 here. It's a bit late to get the video out, but since Leicester are probably the biggest challengers for the Premier League title to Liverpool this season right now, I thought I'd wait to make a video regarding the fixtures this weekend. Obviously, Arsenal West Ham play tomorrow. I've got a draw on that one, so hopefully it comes off. I was going to do a video on Liverpool's win against Bournemouth and City's loss in the derby, but unfortunately I had a bit too much booze in me, and I just had to have a bit of a day off. What's worse than being hungover though is these terrible picks. I was hoping for at least 6 out of 10 this week, and I honestly thought I had it. There were so many obvious picks, shall you say, but they didn't come off. We'll get to those later, but we'll go through my picks and the eventual results. So I picked Liverpool over Bournemouth. Liverpool winning 3-0, of course. So that's my first correct pick. Good win for Liverpool. First 30 minutes it was a little bit pedestrian. Bournemouth are in a bit of a bad spot at the moment, and losing Ake for probably 3 or 4 weeks, and maybe Wilson for a similar time. They're in trouble. They're in big trouble, and if Southampton can keep this sort of good form, I know they lost against Newcastle, but their form before that, I think Bournemouth are in a lot of trouble at the moment. And it's probably the first time since Eddie Howe's come in that there's been real danger from 6 losses in a row, so they're really struggling. Liverpool made 7 changes and it didn't matter, so whether that's Liverpool being good or Bournemouth being bad, up to you. Naby Keita came in and played absolutely amazing. Curtis Jones getting his debut. I'm hoping he looks quality, Curtis, so maybe another Scouser in the team. Next up, Spurs over Burnley. I picked a Spurs win. Spurs win came off. Unfortunately, Harry Kane scored 2 and assisted 1, which really fucked up my fantasy, but, you know, what can you do? You triple captain a man, he does nothing. You don't captain a man, he does everything. So that was a tough one to take. Son Heung-min scored an absolute amazing Maradona-like goal, strolling from basically his 18-yard box all the way to the goal. Incredible. Easy 5-0 win there. Burnley don't look as tight at the back as they used to. Yeah, that was sort of their thing, Burnley. Stubborn, defensively well drilled, and at the moment it doesn't look like that. Next up, Duncan Ferguson's Everton against Chelsea. I had this for a Chelsea win all day long. And what made it even worse is I was a bit out of the loop. I didn't really look into the fact that Everton might have this new manager bounce a little bit. I know Marco Silva was sacked, but I didn't really take into account the new manager bounce. And Everton were brilliant. 3-1 win. Takes a bit of pressure off them. They move up to 13th or something like that. That's how tight the table is at the moment. Pretty much from 5th onwards. You know, a few wins and you're up in 5th. You're in the European places. So Everton win there. First wrong pick of the weekend. The second wrong pick of the weekend. We'll come back to United City. Watford playing Crystal Palace. I picked a Watford win, and at the end there, they nearly snatched it, Watford. Some good saves by Guaita. I really do rate Watford, the seasons of the last 2, but it's just not right there at the moment. They have some good players, and yeah, they really need to change something in January. They need something new very quick, because otherwise they're definitely going down. Newcastle, Southampton. I picked Southampton to win. When Danny Ings scored his 5th goal in 5 games, I thought it was going to be a sure thing. Jonjo Shelvey again. 3 goals in 3 games. The man's on fire. Man of the match again. And Newcastle look good at the moment. And there was a lot of talk about, you know, you've lost Rafa Benitez. What are you going to do? Newcastle are going to go down. They have double the points they had last season. I mean, they're above Arsenal. Unbelievable. So good on Newcastle for another win. They've the way they're going, they'll be safe this season, and hopefully they can get Mike Ashley out and actually be the club they should be. Sheffield United was my pick. Sheffield won. Didn't have much interest in this game. I think Norwich are a very, very poor team. They have some good players going forward, but I just don't think defensively they're solid. They've had a lot of injuries, and it definitely showed. Sheffield are here to stay, I think, this season. But another win for Sheffield. I picked Wolves. I didn't pick them last week. I picked a draw, and what do you know? Wolves drew with Brighton. What a kick in the teeth. Diego Jota with a double. 2-1 down at one point. 2-2 in the first half, and second half no goals. I don't know what I could have done there. Anyway, draw there. Leicester win was the pick. Leicester win is what happens, and it's a Vardy party at the moment. They're now 6 points ahead of the reigning Premier League champions. Unbelievable. I mean, they're doing absolutely brilliantly at the moment, Leicester City. At what point will I start to worry about them? Either if we drop points and they gather points on us before the end of Christmas, or coming into that game at Christmas. I think if the gap's still the same, Liverpool go away to Leicester. Leicester can definitely get something there. The thing about Leicester is, have they won a big game yet? They lost to Liverpool at Anfield. They lost to Man United. They drew with Chelsea. I think they're still yet to play City and Spurs, or they might have played Spurs already. So you don't know. If they can beat City, I think City are done for me. Right now, I wouldn't say City are done. But the facts are pretty much painted on the wall. They've now, pretty much, if they win every single game before the end of the season, Manchester City will finish on the same points they did last season. 22 games in a row. They've done 14 and 15 in a row, but 22 is just, I think it's a bit far, especially considering the way they're playing this season without Laporte. I don't know where Laporte is in terms of training, but I know a lot of people are saying back in January. The thing that confuses me is back in January meaning match fit in January or ready to get match fit in January? I've said it many times, Fernandinho has to slot back into defensive mid. There's so much space there. And they're getting exploited for it. For Man City, and obviously they lost at United. I just went on a bit of a train there, off the Leicester train. I'll come back to City, sorry. I'm a bit tired. If Liverpool go to Leicester's home ground and beat them, and it's either 8 or it's now 11, I think that's when we can start to go, Leicester aren't in it. This will be the toughest period of the season for Leicester with their squad. As long as players are fit, they will do well. It's a bit like Liverpool in 2013-14. Their first 11 was great. As long as players are fit, they can compete. Brendan Rodgers is playing great, making them play great football. They've got a good team, and he's got Jamie Vardy singing a song. It's a Jamie Vardy party right now. 8 games in a row he's scored in. 8 games in a row. Just absolutely on fire. I don't know when the bloke's going to slow down. He's still quick as anything. But good for Leicester. They officially now 6 points ahead of Manchester City. The closest challengers to Liverpool right now. And I think we'll see at the end of this year when Liverpool play Leicester, I think we'll finally start to see whether they're real challengers or top 4 definites. I think they're top 4 definite now, no doubt, in my mind. I think United, Spurs, even Chelsea are just Wolves, too inconsistent. I spoke about Wolves, but you got to beat Brighton. You know, you've just got to win there, and if you want to compete in top 4, and everyone else seems to be flailing, but not Leicester. That's their 7th win in a row, is it? Oh, unbelievable stuff. Now we'll go to the Manchester derby. United 2, Manchester City 1. I'm completely and utterly shocked. I had City all day, every day. United turn up in these big games. Ole has a way of turning it up in these big games, and I think that's the way they've got to play. Whether it's a big or a small team, I know United fans won't like it, but you need points on the board. You need points on the board. I know if Norwich are coming to United or whoever, anyone who you think you're better than, you've proven now that the way you play against the big teams works for you. The results just... What are you doing? My cat's just decided to walk across me. Trying to put me off, I don't know. Wants some more food, something like that. So United just... They can beat the big teams, but when it comes to the smaller games, they're struggling. And I think they do better as the underdogs, and they love it. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I said when they played Spurs, if he gets a heavy defeat, it might be time to go. I could not be more wrong. Another masterclass by him. Ferguson in the stands. Maybe in 20 years we'll find out that Ferguson was actually coaching behind the scenes. But yeah, another good win for Ole. And from what I've heard from some United pundits and stuff like that is they're willing to give Ole time because they know at the moment that with Guardiola and Klopp there's not a lot of room for movement in terms of challenging. So they're happy to just develop the youth and then build a good squad. And their backline looked excellent today, snuffed everything out from City. And once again, City look toothless in attack. I've said it for weeks. Whenever I've watched them, they just throw so many aimless balls into the box, not even looking up, just whipping them in. And I don't know if they're losing a bit of belief at the moment. A lot of balls are just going to De Bruyne and he's just whipping them in. And yes, De Bruyne has an absolutely amazing ball, but they don't have the personnel to deal with that. I've actually seen the same with Liverpool as well, though. A lot of aimless crosses into the box. But that's the way Liverpool play. They want to create a lot of chances and try and get as much reward as possible. Whereas City, they're just throwing the ball into the box, leaving themselves open for counter-attacks. And without Fernandinho there, I think they're really struggling with the counter-attacks. Fernandinho's great at tactical fouling, as we all know. We've heard it time and time again. And at the same time, Fernandinho is good at breaking up the play. And they're missing that. And from what I've heard, the rumour is they're not playing Fernandinho there because he's going to leave in the summer and they want Rodri to be ready to perform next season. I think Rodri has definitely what it takes. He reminds me, not in terms of how good he is or how he plays, of the Fabinho situation. Playing that defensive mid-role in that sort of team is very, very difficult and it's going to take time. He had a good game against Burnley, but Fabinho had good games last year where I just thought you just can't leave him out. Last year he had an amazing game against Red Star and everyone was calling for him to start against Arsenal. And he started and he got caught out way too much. So I think Rodri next year will kick on and kick on well at the end of this season. I think City's title chances are over, definitely. You can just see them every weekend possibly dropping points at the moment. It's weird because you think, I'm not calling it. I would love Liverpool to win the Premier League, but obviously until it's in Henderson's hands, I won't say anything. But what are you doing, Cat? Jesus Christ. The one thing you thought of Liverpool breaking their duck for 30 years is you thought it was going to be absolutely stressful as anything. And at the moment, it looks very, very good. I think it is. I think through January, though, we will drop some points and eventually it will be a lot closer. But the good thing for Liverpool is teams like City now will be thinking, let's just get top 4 and let's make sure that we can get that Champions League. I wouldn't be surprised if Pep starts resting players in the Premier League where he can, to try and get that Champions League win. And you know what? Weird as it sounds, they probably can do it. Knockout stages, Laporte will be back. Sane will be starting to get fit. And then I think it is a different story. January, this might sound dumb. The City should sign Vincent Kompany back just to be the captain. Play a few games here and there against low level teams, and be that captain he was last season, and he could change everything. The same as what I said last week. Bring in someone like a Giroud, a big tall striker who, at the end of the game, when you're out of ideas and your tiki-taka football isn't working, just whip balls into the box to him. De Bruyne a ball onto a Giroud head, it's going to go in. You know what I mean? Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. I think later on tonight I might do a Champions League preview, and maybe a little bit of a discussion about Leicester City. I think they deserve all the plaudits they can get. Rodgers signing a new deal this weekend. It's all going well for Leicester at the moment. Anyway, guys, I'll leave you with that. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.